to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow. I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew. I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow. I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles and
Some bad
ignore the
experience.
No, but I just feel like I ain't. She put a bad taste in my mouth. So it's like,
Yeah, but she can't ruin it. She no, you should.
I feel like I can get through it. Like if I just, like if it's somebody like, if I had like, if somebody like you were like, or like, or somebody that I just trust dearly, like I know they ain't finna use this. I got a big brother, bam. I vent to him about everything.
That's
You
good.
know what I'm saying?
That's good.
I vent to him about everything. My brother Tabo, he lost his baby mama, so we share the same hurt. We share the same pain. Like last week we was on the phone crying with each other because of the situation, and it's like, bro, like get out of Memphis. I'm telling him to get out of Memphis. Like, bro, I want to. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get you the house. I'm gonna get you the car. I'm gonna get you set up. I'm gonna put your daughter in school. Like, we're gonna figure this situation out because he having it hard with his daughter, like adjusting to this her mama being gone right now. So it's like I can understand. I'm automatically in his shoes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
So you built like a it's almost like a support group.
Yeah.
You got
When,
to
yeah,
support your
yeah,
own. You
yeah.
figured out your
And
own
I got
support.
Whew, baby, listen, we're giving you guys a video talking obviously about the situation with Money Yo, but I wanted to break it down, Moneybag Yo, sorry, in a different way. I would say this: men will use you for free therapy. I mean, they really will. Let me just move over so the light's not in my eye too much. The green is a bit heavy, but men will use you for free therapy, girls. Okay, ladies, I need you to understand that. All right. Moneybag Yo, I've listened to the interview. Actually, it's a really good interview. It's a really good interview. And I think many people will learn from it, grow from it, and really be blessed by it as well. So I really do love it. I think the interview is great. Now, in regards to the topic, men will use it for free therapy. In this conversation that he has with I can't remember her name, I apologize, it's gone out of my head. With Angie Martinez, he expresses about having, tried a therapist, but it didn't really work out for him. And then he expressed the fact that, for him, he has a better, he found it easier even talking to Angie herself or talking to um talking to um Ari, his girlfriend, or talking to one of his boys, right? Now, I think that's great. I think talking to your girlfriend, talking to your mates, all important in terms of actually growing and becoming a wholesome person. But the reality of the situation is there's some deep-seated trauma that he's gone through in terms of death, seeing people lose, coming from a very traumatic environment in Memphis. He's going through a lot. And what you don't realize is all of that gets dumped on the girlfriend's end. All of that expectation gets dumped on the girlfriend end. All of that pain and trauma gets dumped on the girlfriend end. All that hurt gets dumped on the girlfriend end. And then what happens is a lot of times with these men, and I'm not saying that specifically Moneybag Yo in a sense, but a lot of these men, what will happen is I've already said before, they need a friend. A lot of these men don't need partners, they need friends. And they need friends who they believe are going to be there for them no matter what. Because a lot of times they choose these women with the hope that they're going to be great lovers, but they end up using them for free therapy because she ends up being there like somebody who's a therapist who will consult them on every single thing that they've gone through and give them forgiveness and pardon. But the reality is you ruin your relationship that way, right? Now, he spoke about obviously the fact that at the time, well, we found out from the interview, she's bought him land, she's helping him with his kids, she's loving upon him, she's appreciating, she is somebody who keeps it real, she's down to earth. You know what I mean? Like they get on, and it's been 4 years. Now he only did his cheating in the last 7 months ago, right? He only did his cheating 7 months ago. He made a mistake, he said, right? But if I take it as a general principle, a lot of guys like this who have gone through very traumatic experiences have no safe place to go to. Then they're scared of going to a therapist because they've been told things about a therapist. Especially in the Black community, we get told wrong things about what therapy is and what it does and who initiates it and and stuff like that. And we're afraid of being vulnerable. We're afraid of letting someone else know about our stuff. And in fact, he actually spoke about his therapist. He felt like his therapist at the time was trying to be too nosy and trying to get into it. Whereas with Angie, he felt more comfortable. Now, that might be a therapist issue. Not every therapist is great. It might be that therapist specifically, or it could be the fact that he just wasn't ready for therapy, right? And he felt like, the questions were too intrusive at the time because it meant revealing certain stuff. Maybe he wasn't ready for it. We don't really know. But what we do know is he then says to himself, I'm not going to go through therapy again. I've got Ari, my girlfriend. I've got my brother. I've got friends who I've got, and it's built up this nice support group. But the reality is, there are deep-seated things that need to be exposed, unearthed, and helped to begin to heal. And a lot of times what guys will do is, due to their fear of being vulnerable and going to a therapist for looking crazy, they date someone who's very compassionate, who's caring, who's loving, who's like just deep, round, kind person, and is willing to take on your load. And they unload the clip on that girl. And as they unload the clip on that girl, they release their wings when they finally feel like they've done some healing, and they fly to another nest, right? Because no relationship should have so much trauma in, or should be spoken about as from such a traumatic experience when we're talking about actual relationship, a romantic one. And so what I saw, what he described, I was like, well, I see that, I hear it, I get it, but a lot of guys will use that woman for that free therapy, and then they end up discarding her because they've outgrown her. Now, I don't think that's the same thing with Moneybag Yo and Ari, because listening to the interview, it sounded like he really did care about her. It really sounded like he had, some good wishes for her, and really wanted to see her flourish, and wanted them to work out their issues. And there's some key words he used, and I was like, okay, I think he genuinely actually wants this to work. So I'm not even mad at him. I'm not even mad at him for that. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta give him to that. Let me just put you on what I was just watching real quick, and then you can see what I mean.
I got another one of my homeboys I grew up with. His name's Shard. He lost his baby mama too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he called me for advice. Like he lost her
Let me
recently.
go back a little bit.
Got a big brother. Bam. I vent to him about everything.
That's
You know
good.
what I'm saying?
That's good. And drive, because I couldn't even drive. I get in the car, my hands would start shaking like this.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'm not trying to live my life like this. Somebody got to help me.
exactly.
First couple therapists I went to, trash.
Nah, for sure.
But I
It be
say
like
that to you because just because you had one bad experience, you've
No,
been
but
through.
I just feel like, man, I ain't gonna talk. She put a bad taste in my mouth, so it's like
Yeah, but she can't ruin it. You should.
I feel like I can get through it. Like if I just like if it's somebody like if I had like it's somebody like you or like or somebody that I just trust dearly, like I know they ain't gonna use this. I got a big brother, bam.
So here, see what he about to say there, right? Like he said, what he was saying in that moment was, hey, look, I hear you. I've already tried a therapist, it didn't work out. She's like, don't give up. He's like, okay, yeah, I hear you. But the reality of the situation is, right, for reality of the situation for him is that he's saying the core issue is trust. The core issue for him is trust. And when brothers are in a place where they don't trust, they can't. If they don't trust the therapist, they ain't trusting you. Not 100%. I can guarantee you that. I'm telling you, they will always have a distrust for you in some capacity. They're never fully 100% in, and that's what causes actual issues. Because as that trust, of course, someone as they spend more time with you should begin to trust more. But the reality is, what they will see is as they get closer to you, they become more vulnerable. Meaning now, I have to watch my trust even more. Because it'll be the closest ones that turn against you. It'll be the closest ones that do you dirty. That's how their mind thinks. Because remember, they don't trust. So now when he's talking about the therapist and he's saying, as he was describing, if I had someone like Ari, my girlfriend, if I had someone like you, I'd be cool. The truth of the matter is, he probably wouldn't, because trust again has to be built. Now, of course, in this setting, it's much more informal, and it's an interview, and he gets to share whatever he wants to share. In a therapy session, you can share whatever you want to share, but they're going to ask questions that are going to touch some bases. They're going to force you to think. They're going to force you to really consider some of the things that you're actually saying. Right? They're going to consider those things. Now, he's a very intelligent man. I've listened to him as well, so I like him. I actually genuinely listened to the interview and I liked him. I really did like him. I said, no, I like this guy, And so, hearing him out and saying, obviously, someone like Ari, his girlfriend, Ari Fletcher, if she starts playing that role, if she starts finding her value in supporting him, being an emotional crutch and being a therapist, she's going to find out that her role as a partner will soon disappear. It's not that you can't play the role of a therapist in your relationship. It's the fact that if you play a prolonged role as a therapist and start finding super value in it and thinking that your value is based as you've been a therapist and solving their issues, you're going to find yourself on the bench real quick, because once those issues are solved, you don't have no value anymore. So it's important that your value is as a partner, not as a therapist, because once you've done your job as a therapist and you've healed people, and you've healed people, what you'll find is that people will end up leaving you because you've accomplished the mission. You've done your job too good. You've done your job too well. So what I'm saying to people is this is one of the dark arts that does happen, that women find themselves and they're like, why is it that, it's like he's with me and then he gets the next person, he gets married? Well, because you were the stepping stone and you're carrying stepping stone energy because you're doing too much. You're playing the wrong role. Play the role of a partner, not of somebody who's a builder bob. And that means build a bob emotionally, build a bob mentally, build a bob financially, build a bob sexually, build a bob spiritually. You don't want to be building no bobs in these intimacy areas. You want somebody who's a co-equal. And that doesn't mean they have to be exactly like you, but it means that there isn't such a large gap that you're teaching all the time. Because when you start building people up like that, right? You build them up and they eventually get to the place where you've built them up to, and they leave because that's what you've taught them to do. You've taught them to build themselves up, and now they got to that place. They're like, well, I see things differently now. I'm on this pathway, right? This also happens when people start bonding over trauma, and when one person heals, they end up leaving a relationship. It's because you bonded on a deficit, on a debt. Don't bond on a debt. You bond on positives. You don't bond on a debt, right? You're a negative and you're trying to bond. If you do that, when the negative gets positive, you will not be able to keep the relationship going, right? So this is really important. So if you're somebody, if you're somebody who's always in that space where you find a person keeps leaving you and they keep going to someone else and then they end up getting married or committing to a relationship or whatever, it's because you're a stepping stone and you're giving stepping stone energy. I don't want to see you in that space anymore, right? I don't want to see you in that stepping stone space. Let me break this down for you guys as well, because this part was really interesting about he doesn't trust very easily. So let me just see if I can bring it up for you guys as well. But I just want to play this a little bit longer and then
I vent to him about everything.
That's
You know
good.
what I'm saying?
That's good.
I vent to him about everything. My brother Tabo, he lost his baby mama, so we share the same hurt.
hold
Like
on.
it's real deal hard to love. Like it's hard to love people. Like cause they don't come solid every time. Like they be disguised. They ain't got good intentions all the time. And it's like I feel like it's hard to love me because of everything I've been through. So it makes it worse. It makes it hard for me to trust. Like all kind of stuff. Like I don't know how to. You feel me? And I always be in my head. I'm a Virgo.
Mhm.
Sometimes I overthink. You know what I'm saying? I be in my head sometimes, but I be thinking like it's for the better. It's for the better too, because I have came out on top thinking like that.
What do you mean?
Now, what's really interesting about this is that he talks about the trust part, right? And I want people to pay attention to this. If you choose a partner who has issues trusting, you're gonna find out that the trust issues is gonna play on you. Now, of course, I think most of us have some level of trust issues in some degree. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's saying anybody's perfect right here. But what he explained was actually quite potent. I thought to myself, this is real, because what he's describing is what people go through. That aspect where we're saying about you trusting somebody, right? It requires you to lend some area of vulnerability of yourself to the other person and trust they won't try to kill you. Now, the fact that he's saying in this moment that, he finds it hard to trust, you can guarantee he's going to find it hard to trust Ari too. Now, she might have tried to earn her stripes, but you have to be very careful these moments, because what can happen is if you don't have a solid identity, you'll find yourself in a space where you're always trying to earn his trust. And when you're always in a space of trying to earn somebody's trust, you're working. When you're working, you earn what you get. And what's going to happen is you're eventually not going to be able to work to get. And actually, it's very similar to the message of grace. Oh my God. Yes, Jesus, work it here today. It's very similar to the message of grace. When we talk about the Bible and talk about the gospel is not about work. It's about the work that Christ done on the cross. But when me and you receive the blessing of being able to become a son of God, that is not by your work. It's simply by you believing. It is simply by you accepting the truth of what Jesus Christ already done. Why is that important here? Well, the same thing also when it applies to relationships and love. If I'm having to work for your love, I'm going to be in trouble, because eventually I'm not going to be able to work one day. And when I don't work, what's going to happen? Then the factory stops. The wheel stops spinning, right? The lights go out because the love is not going to come anymore. because I've been working for your love. If you're having to work for people's trust, I can guarantee you what's going to happen is you're going to keep on working, and you're always going to be in a space where you're trying to work and you'll never feel happy, because people that work for things like this, which are intangibles like this, what happens is they end up getting tired. They end up getting tired. They're going to get tired of trying to prove to him that, you know what? Trust me. You know, you're going to get tired of saying, trust me. Don't you trust me yet? Right? Now, of course, there is a period of time where you and your partner get to know each other. You're talking, you're walking, you're experiencing things, you're getting to know each other, you're learning about each other, and you're growing in your trust for each other. But when people have extensive trust issues, it extends beyond that point, and it becomes very difficult to manage in the case of a relationship. Now, he does go on to say that he trusts Ari very, very much. He don't stress about nothing. He don't care about nothing. So it's less about really saying necessarily it's exactly him, and more about him using his words as a way to kind of showcase to people some of the difficulties that happen within a case of a relationship, and why men will end up using women for this kind of stuff. And what you'll realize is some of these men also too, who thought they couldn't trust a woman or couldn't trust themselves, will use women as an exercise for the next woman. Yeah, these men will use a woman for their trust exercises, and then they'll get on to the next woman. Well, I can trust now. I don't need to be in this relationship no more. And it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, sir. And it's because, again, they've fluffed and they've grown. And now they've grown, they realize this relationship doesn't suit me no more. So what I'm saying is, don't compromise on the type of relationship that you require. Don't compromise on the values and the standards that you have. Don't compromise on the what you say is your rules that you live by. Don't cave in, because as you do that and you betray yourself, that's oftentimes where the pain comes from, the hurt comes from. But it takes two to tango. And then so what he's saying about his trust issues, if you try to, I'm going to love him through his trust issues. No, we need to work it first. Yes, I need to see you growing. I need to see you working on your own trust issues. What are you doing to help grow those trust issues? Because what you're looking for is to say, well, if that woman, or the man in this case, if that man, it just presents a safe haven, a safe fence around me, and just shows me undying love and affection and loyalty, I promise you I'm going to change. No, you ain't. And then it's like when the men are also saying for the ladies, I just need a ride or die chick that, just going to be down for everything and be here for everything. He ain't going to trust you either. Do you know why? Because he knows the standard. He knows the standard. Whilst you're going to ride and die and think I'm going to cover him in all bases, he actually detests you. Because the reason why he detests you, because he knows that's not the truest level for you. That's not the truest level for himself. Right? He wants a girl with morals. He can't even trust you because you don't have morals for him. If you don't have morals for him, he's thinking to himself, well, if she don't have morals for me, she might not have no morals outside. How can I really trust her? The only way he can trust you is if he controls you. Right? You don't want to find yourself in that space. So what I'm saying to you is, again, don't succumb and cheat yourself of your standards, entering into an unnecessary relationship just because you're lonely or sad, or you think they're good looking, or they have money, or whatever, right? If you can see that you're breaking your own boundaries, I would say you need to leave that alone. Okay? Because there are too many men out there that will use you for free therapy. Okay? All right? They will use you as a trampoline. They'll use you and tell you all their deep, dark secrets, but it's not you they actually want. They need a therapist. But because you're willing to play that role, and they're scared of commitment and scared oftentimes of being hurt and scared of being vulnerable, they get a girlfriend instead who they feel like they should be able to share everything with and load her with all their insecurities and their pains. And that woman takes it on, listens, becomes his confidant, becomes this place of safety, becomes this place of comfort, becomes this place where they can share all their deepest, darkest thoughts that they've never shared with anybody else, and they will expect you to carry the load. You don't want to be in that space. It's unfulfilling in the end because you won't get what you think you want to get. right? You won't get what you think you're gonna get. And honest, but what I would say is obviously for Moneybag, I think for him, I'm gonna be honest with you. From what I heard, it looks like they're putting in the work. Just by the things he was kind of saying and how he spoke about her, it does sound like they're putting in the work. And she kept it a buck with him, told him as well, listen, this is gonna be the last time we ain't gonna do this again. Okay, so she let him know her boundaries. We ain't gonna do this again. It's gonna be the last time. Don't you ever do this again, because I promise you I'll be out. He told us that, and I hope she will stick to that, because that's how you hold to your standards, right? It's tough on the dunya out here, baby. So no, those are very, very important aspects of those relationships, and I think I think in those aspects, for me, as for men I've seen do this, a lot of times they're hurting. A lot of times these men don't know no better because they're hurting. They just know they need a safe place to land. You know what I mean? And a woman tends to represent that safe place to land. A woman represents vulnerability. A woman represents emotions. A woman represents love and nurturing and care. And a woman represents that comfort, and represents somewhere he can tell his secrets to. And sometimes they are not relationships that need to be romantic. They just need to be friendships. But the difficulty is when your heart hurting and broken like this, you end up sleeping with these women instead of actually befriending them. You get, right? So that often confuses the line of inquiry and the line of relationship that you guys have when sex get involved, right? So it's a tough one. I can't even play with you, man. But I wanted to bring that into the situation that you gotta be very careful out here. Don't play the role of a therapist, right? You play the role of a partner, and a partner will try to understand, try to get it, try to listen and care, but you can't be the therapist. The moment you become the therapist in this relationship is the moment you're going to be used. And what is the difference between a therapist and a person who's a partner? They realize there's certain things they can't handle, and they would advise you to go and see a therapist. Okay? All right? Your partner be like, listen, babe, there's some things that you're mentioning that I believe would be better suited for a counselor or a coach or a therapist to help you through. I can listen and sit here, but it sounds like, babe, some of the stuff I can't deal with. I think you need to go and see a counselor or therapist. That person will push you in the direction of a counselor. That's when you know you're a partner and you're not a therapist. A therapist believes that they can handle all things and everything. And it's like, no, you can't. You can't. There's some things that are deeply embedded in him. All right? So we don't want you to be in that space. All right? If only I can build him up for me and then he'll be amazing. No. Stop that. Stop that. Stop thinking that line. If only I can build him up. If he just gets past this healing thing with me, they're going to be so amazing. Stop that. We're investing in potential. Let's stop that. Right? Yeah. So I don't have any more thoughts. I want to keep it nice and short, succinct. I think it was a really good interview. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. I loved his wholesomeness and his honesty as well, because he kept it pretty real. I think he spoke about the cheating as well, which was interesting as well. I'll play that last clip and then you can.
Isn't it? So that made it even worse on her. Like, but I kept it G though. I just kept it G. Like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I'm sorry, baby. You know what I'm saying? I made mistakes. You know what I'm saying? That was then.
Are you sorry? Because guys say I'm sorry. They be
No,
sorry.
I really
They be
come
sorry
from
they got caught.
no, exactly.
Mm.
I really come from a pure place. You know what I'm saying? I come from a pure place when I say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I apologize and I just want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to work through it and get through it. And she with it. And she helping me with my, you know what I'm saying? Helping me work through it. That's why I rock with her so tough, because it's like, okay, I get it.
Mm.
I understand you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it happen again. Don't let this, you feel me? Like,
This ain't gonna be our life.
this
right?
ain't gonna be our life.
Yeah.
Don't take me up through there. But I do understand, you know what I'm saying? Once I broke it all the way down to her, you know what I'm saying? When I broke it all the way down to her, she understood me fully.
Mm.
Now I wonder what he was going through that he made it as if it could be I wonder what he broke it down to be in as to why she was willing to understand where he's coming from. But he said something interesting. She's helping him work through it. I hope they're talking about the infidelity and not necessarily him working through his issues. Because listen, don't get twisted. I'm not saying it doesn't pay off for a few people. The exceptions to the rule all the time, where someone ends up playing almost quote unquote a counselor role. But if she wants to see a more healthier him, she should redirect him to a therapist or a counselor and encourage him to go and keep going, because his healthiness will reflect in their relationship. But if she keeps on listening, what will happen is she will end up putting her needs on a back burner to try and help him so that he can become healthy, so that in future, in turn, he can then put his focus on her. But it's a losing game, because in reality, most things like this doesn't happen like that. It's a losing game because a lot of times it doesn't work like that. You trying to help the person thinking they're going to help you back, it don't get like that. Right? So you might think, I'm going to just support him and love him, put my needs on the back burner, and I'm just going to do whatever it takes to make sure he's healthy. That in return that he will do the same for me. He won't. I'm not saying that's necessarily Moneybag yo, but I'm saying most men, they won't. Because now they're healed and got a little healing. They're looking at you like you're the one that's broken. They're now looking at you like you are the one that is broken. No longer them. It's you. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads, guys. We appreciate you. Stay locked today. We'll see you again a little bit later on. Every Friday. We're going to be back here every Friday. I think do a little video for Dark Arts and stuff. So much appreciation. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love. We are going to talk about DC Young Fly a little bit later as well. So stay tuned on my main channel. And we'll talk about it as well. You know what I mean? Appreciate it.